And we're back. Now I finished Lily's route, so I'm going to go on to Hanako's, since that seems to be what like everyone wants. Nobody cares about Emmy. Nobody cares. Oh, and Shizune. I actually forgot Shizune was even an option. So with Hanako, I feel like a lot of her scenes are going to be pretty similar, because like in Lily's route, Hanako was like with her the entire time. So I feel like certain scenes, like the birthday scene, are going to be similar. But if there's whoopsie doodles, hit my mic. But if there are scenes that are like extremely similar, I can just hold control and it'll skip through like all the text I read before. So let's get started. The library seems as good a place as any to go. Hanako looked as if she was taken pretty off guard by Lily leaving, so she might want someone to talk to. Slung my bag over my shoulder, I make my way out of the classroom. I walk down the hallway to the library, past the multitude of closed doors. Through each one, the sound of furious rehearsal can be heard. Rock music blares out of one door almost as loud as a concert. I guess that's one of the advantages of a private school. There are actually enough rooms to go around at a time like this. When I think about it, the grounds and building of the school are kept in pretty good condition. That can't be too cheap. I've heard that this place has some pretty serious benefactors. The walls of the library only partially insulate the noise of the festival preparations, but they're the only sounds to be heard. Not a soul stirs here, with everyone apparently enjoying the weather outside or working on festival events. Yuko isn't here either. Maybe she doesn't work on Saturdays. Quietly walk through the library, now fairly familiar with its layout. I head to the back where Hanako's private little corner is. I run my hand along the spines of the books on the way through, feeling the individual texture of each as I glance across the titles. I used to do this all the time with the library at the hospital. Some things never change, I guess. Like the smell of a library. No matter how much care you take, the paper and books is always going to degrade with time. Probably no matter which library you go into anywhere in the world, it must have the same musty smell. I like the smell of libraries. I find something that looks light enough to read without any major thought involved, then look for Hanako in the reading area. Once again, she is sitting on the beanbag with her back to a bookshelf, reading the same book she had in the classroom. She's slowly making her way through the pages. Unlike last time I saw her here, I quickly take a seat in the beanbag. The noise is enough to catch her attention, but not startle her. This delicate routine that must be followed each and every time I talk to her almost feels like a hunting game. Is it the same book as before? Yes, I'm almost finished. Cool. I wonder if I should... do you mind if I borrow when you're finished? My mouth is faster than my mind, it seems. Sure, you may not like it, but I'm sure it can't be that bad. After all, you stuck with it, haven't you? I guess. I settled into my beanbag and set about reading my own book that had been buried in my bag. It's a light novel about pirates. To be honest, I'm barely skimming over the words, having chosen the book merely because it belongs to a different genre than I usually read. Finding it hard to muster enough enthusiasm to finish the book, and noting that I've inadvertently distracted Hanako quite a bit, I decided to try and make conversation. So I see Lily left without you. She nods before taking her eyes off her book. She must have been really into it after all. Lily said she had to go and meet someone. Oh? Akila, her sister. Sister? I haven't heard her talk about her family. She and Akila used to live together. I thought all the students lived in the dorms. She said used to live together. We don't have to. But it's easier, right? I mean, there's food here and you're close to school. I don't think I've ever been to class on time so often in my life. Her badly hidden smile proves quite rewarding. In the back of my mind, I know I have a bit of homework to catch up on, but it's quite comfortable in here. No one can find me and force me into working for their pet project either. But now that I'm thinking about the festival, another question comes up. Hey, Hanako, what are you doing for the festival? For a split second, I think that Hanako is about to throw her book in the air from shock. Sorry? I was just asking what you're doing for the festival tomorrow. Anything planned? I don't know. Hanako answers in the way that people do when they don't want you to ask any more questions. I take it large crowds and loud music aren't really her thing. Okay. Change the subject. So what's Lily's sister like? She's nice. She's pretty like Lily, but she dresses businesslike. Businesslike? She's always wearing a suit. I see, and that makes her less pretty somehow? Hanako gives an embarrassed shake of her head. No, just different. I'll admit, this has got me intrigued to hear Hanako talk about someone other than Lily as a first, and to be complimentary about it too. But as I try to picture this mystery sister, all I can think of is Lily in a suit, and I can't imagine that not being attractive, not at all. Well, one day you'll have to introduce me to her. Okay. Our brief conversation ends as abruptly as it started, and we both return to our novels. The passage of time is marked only by the gradual movement of the patch of light cast through the windows. Slowly the noises from the various rehearsals in the building fade out and die as students start to get hungry and tired. Just thinking about that makes my stomach start to turn knots around itself. I think it's time to head back. Do you think Lily will be back by now? I think I might head back to my dorm. I'm pretty tired from this week. And not a word of that is a lie. Moving to a new school as it ramps up for a major event has been taxing, to say the least. I can feel myself nodding off as I read my book. Okay, I might stay here a little longer. Looking at Hanako's book, I can see that she is only a few pages away from completing it. For a moment I consider hanging around until she finishes, but once again my stomach turns, emitting a gurgling sound. Sure thing. Well, I'm gonna head off before it gets dark. I'll see you around, okay? Okay, see you, Hizao. Later. Hizao? Thank you for hanging out with me. Well, I can see how hard it was for her to get that simple sentence out of her mouth. Leaves me hanging for a moment. So there's someone in this school who's even lonelier than me. Well, maybe lonely is the wrong word. I haven't been lacking company for this first week, but I've still managed to feel somewhat alone and detached. Maybe lonely is the wrong word for Hanako too. She has Lily after all, doesn't she? I realize I've been standing there far too long without answering, and pull off a flawless, not too exaggerated smile. You're welcome. Good night, Hanako. Night. I leave her to finish her book and head back to the dorms in the promise of food. Oh, no cutscene? Alright, we didn't do the... I thought there was going to be a cinematic, but we didn't do the festival part. Isn't this part like this? Let's hold control and see what happens. Okay, yes, it's just... So this is all the same stuff. If I can hold control and it skips through the text this fast, that means I've already read it. So let's see how far it goes before it stops me. Jeez. Oh, there we go. Let's go back just a bit. Wonder what she's doing for the festival. You come back when you're done then. Keep an eye out for Hanako too. Thank you, Hizao. I walk out from the stall and find a seat, carefully cradling the steamed wooden bowl in both hands. Compared to the dumplings from before, this is quite nice. A little cool compared to what it probably should be, perhaps, but the flavor is enough to cover for that reasonably well. As I drink, I can't help but feel somewhat guilty for not being as involved in the festival as others. Can't really be helped, considering I was dropped into the school only a week ago, but still weighs heavily on my mind. Oh, it's still skipping. Weird. Wait a minute. Ah, there we go. There's the difference. Alright, so he leaves. He leaves Lily, okay. In her route, he, takes her out. In a way, I feel bad for leaving her with the crowds, but even though she was clearly under pressure, I can't help but think that she is enjoying herself. The halls are packed with swaying crowds meandering throughout the festival. If there's one thing I know about Hanako, it's that she's not going to be anywhere near this. And with the students showing their friends and family in their dorms, I doubt she'll be there either. Following blind intuition, I move against the grain of the crowd. Thankfully, this crowd seems to be slightly less festive than your usual festival crowd. I assume this is out of consideration for the student body. Makes sense. As I force my way through the masses, it doesn't take long for them to thin down to nothingness. This is not surprising since I am standing before the library. Even the most eager of students don't bother to show anyone this section of the school. But there's so many books, I'd be like, hey guys, check this shit out. Look at all these books. As I enter the library, the noise of the festival fades into a dull background noise, and soon I am in the reading area at the rear of the room. Behind one of the partitioned desks, I see the top of a head with straight, dark hair catching my eye. Hey, Hanako, I had a feeling I'd find you here. The head jumps a little in shock before slowly peeking over the partition. Hizao? Hey, Lily's pretty busy, so she sent me to find you. Oh, do you want to sit down? Actually, I'm feeling a little hungry. Would you like to get something to eat from one of the stands? I brought food, so... I shouldn't be surprised, but it was worth a try. Expecting her to go outside today was a long shot. How about we eat in the tea room? I passed it on the way here and no one was around. You can make some food there and it'll be a little more comfortable. What do you say? Sure, let's go. Hanako closes her book and puts it away with deliberate practice movements. Good to go. Yeah. We walk side by side from the library to the tea room. As expected, there is barely a soul around. If it weren't for the murmurs through the walls, you wouldn't tell there was a huge festival going on outside. Hanako carries her bag in both hands and focuses on just the floor ahead of her. Every now and then she seems to break her pace a little and steps in slightly shorter paces. First time it happened, I gave it no mind, but I soon noticed that she does it on a regular basis. Are you alright? She stops dead in her tracks. What? I don't know, it looked like you were tripping or something. A pink blush rises onto her cheeks as her gaze returns to the floor. It's nothing. You know, when you say nothing like that, people are inspired to ask further questions. For a second, I don't think she's going to answer. Prepared to leave it be, I almost set off walking again when... It's a game. Game? Do you see the floor here? What a bizarre question. The floor looks just like any other floor, covered in those tiles made up from squares of linoleum. Nothing noteworthy. Well, yes, what about it? Sometimes when there's no one around, I only step on the darker ones. Hanako's voice trails off as her explanation continues until I can barely hear her voice over the roaring silence of the empty hallway. Darker ones. Shuffling her feet, Hanako points the toe of her shoe at the tile that is barely a shade darker than the others. Like these ones. Alright, so those ones are no good. I point out a nearby tile. Yeah, something like that. I do that too. I feel like a loser now. Oh, I see. Do you play this game a lot? Hanako shakes her head. Just when the halls are empty? Oh, just when the halls are empty. Whoops. She nods. Whoops. Mouse keeps falling off the screen. Why is it doing that so often? Well, then no point in stopping. I'm beginning to get really hungry. She nods again, this time with a little more enthusiasm. Well, then, let's go. We set off down the hall, and this time I notice that Hanako is paying a little less attention to the floor. I wonder just how lonely does someone have to be to come up with a game with, like, oh... Yeah, see, now I really feel like a loser, because I do that. But before I realize what I'm doing, I find myself trying to aim each step so it lands on the correct tiles. The noise of the festival is slightly louder inside the tea room, but the breeze coming through the open window makes it worth it. Without thinking, I walk to the windowsill and inhale deeply. I sometimes forget how clean the air is here compared to back home. Would you like some tea? That would be great, thanks. It occurs to me this is the first time I've been alone with Hanako without her trying to be somewhere else. Turning from the window, I watch as she makes a simple pot of tea and arranges some sandwiches onto a plate. I've seen her do this before a number of times, but this time she seems slightly different. It's like she's calm. Eventually, she places the small tray on the table and pours 2 cups of tea. The fresh scent of brewed tea mingles with the breeze, and for a second I feel like I'm the only one in the world. I think I know why you like this room now. I don't know what you mean. Well, there are quite a few people out there, but in here it's like another world. You can pretend that there's no one around for miles. You're right. It's like the world's forgotten this room. And because of that, you can forget about the outside. Well, that would be appealing in some cases. As far as I can tell, conventional bullying doesn't exist in this school. Then again, I haven't seen a single person talk to Hanako besides Lily. If you're ignored by the world, a place where you can forget its existence would hold a special appeal. That's a good point. It's like this room gives you some kind of complete freedom. Yeah. Say, do you play chess? Chess? I've played it a bit, I guess. I take it you've played before. A little. Without saying anything more, Hanako moves to one of the cupboards and digs out a small chess set. Do you want... Sure, why not? Cut her off, but she doesn't seem to mind it. We arrange the pieces, and before long we are sending pawns charging to their inevitable fates. I take my time and intently examine each move and its consequences, nostalgia for the game taking second place to the matters at hand. For a time the game is a lengthy battle of attrition, but I spot an opening and tear line their defense. A few moves later, her king is cornered by several of my pieces. Checkmate. You're not bad at this, are you? With honest appraisal, her technique is pretty good, but several times I was able to exploit her lack of prediction. I pick up a piece and examine it. It looks relatively new, yet worn for its age. I guess not. Does Lily play? The absence of Hanako's answer causes me to think about my question. A bit. This is the first time I played against someone other than her. Or... She cuts herself off abruptly, leaving the answer hanging in the air. Someone she knew before coming to Yamaku, maybe. Well, then I'm honored to have played against you. Can we play again? She asks as if she were asking me to cut off my own hands. The spirit of competition's gotten into her. Sure, though don't expect me to go easy on you this time. Not that I was before, mind. She seems to appreciate the competitive tone. Same here. As we were setting up the pieces, there's a noise at the door. And there's Lily. Good afternoon. Lily. Oh, hey there, Lily. Are you finished? You both are here. Wonderful. At any rate, our teacher managed to round up some extra help, so I was able to leave. Have you been here since you left? Yeah, pretty much. I've just been playing a bit of chess. Would you like a cup of tea? Actually, I think it may be a good idea to go outside for a little while. The instant drop in Hanako's face shows her objection to this plan, even though she says nothing. I feel strangely compelled to voice that what is plainly in view on her face, but Lily can't see. I kinda think we should just stay here. Really? It's so crowded here that I was thinking we should leave the school and head to for the local tea house. You mean the Shanghai? Of course, with everyone at the festival, it should be practically empty. Tea house. Oh, that's right, you probably don't know of it. There's a tea house not far from here, which we go to every so often. Sounds like a plan. Hanako, what do you think? Hanako jumps a little at being forced into the conversation, but at least she seems less distraught than before. If it's the Shanghai, I think it'll be nice. Well, then it's settled. Let's be on our way. Hanako and I rise from the table and our preempted chess game. Before I can do anything, Hanako has poured the pieces into a small container and placed the board away. Well, looks like we're ready now. Please lead on. Hanako moves to Lily's side as we venture. Have this part? Nope, looks like we haven't done this part. Hanako moves to Lily's side and we venture onto the school's corridors. Pair leads me through a series of unfamiliar doors, and we emerge in the side of the building opposite the festival grounds. Gonna have to control every once in a while just to see if we haven't seen this before. Insulated by the heavy stone of the buildings, the noise from the crowd has faded to a murmur. Strange, I thought that most people would be beginning to leave by now. Oh, they're probably here to view the fireworks. Fireworks. Yes, apparently the school puts on quite a show. A lot of people come from town just to watch them. Lily's decision to leave the school grounds seems to make sense now. Hanako would probably have a hard time with the whole town descending onto the school, or ascending, as the case may be. For the second time since coming to Yamako, I find myself walking down this road with Lily. Only now that I can barely hear the incessant noise of the festival do I realize how loud it was. I can hear my ears ring slightly in the still evening air as they recover from the day's assault on them. Hanako clings to Lily, but still manages to guide her along the road. That, and avoiding the occasional gaze from curious pedestrians, appears to completely sap her constitution. She rarely raises her focus from the ground in front of her, nor does she utter a word. Lily, on the other hand, maintains her prim and proper persona just as she does in school. It's obvious she purposely puts effort into her appearance rather than hiding it as Hanako does. It's striking how different they are in the way of holding themselves outside of Yamaku's grounds. That said, it's obvious in both their cases that they do visibly change. Inside Yamaku, everyone is special, which negates the specialness of it. Once we venture outside the school gates, we return to the status of outsider under generic labels. Especially when we are still in school uniform, it's like hanging a sign around your neck challenging people to figure out what is wrong with you. I'm surprised that so many of the students keep it on, and then again, with canes and wheelchairs common among the students, I guess it's not really that much of a giveaway. Maybe I'm the only one that sees it as a stigma. Maybe you get used to it after a time, like any other school uniform. Tea house seems fairly standard from the outside, just an ordinary building with typical signs and decorative entrance. It looks like the type of place you'd walk by without a thought, just another generic cafe in a sea of thousands. If Hanako hadn't steered Lily into the entrance, I would have continued on down the road without even knowing that it existed. Inside the tea house, it takes on a more traditional feel. Everything seems to have been made from the same lump of timber, from the counter and benches to the high-backed booths around the stalls. But the most striking feature of the room is the lack of life. I think I could faintly hear something bubbling away in the background, but otherwise the room is silent. Without any direction, we simply wait near the entrance, politely obeying the please wait to be seated sign. Is this place closed or something? The sound of a chair falling over echoes throughout the empty room, and a head shoots up from inside a booth. I wasn't asleep, and welcome to the Shanghai. Yuko, dressed in a pastoral apron and clutching a menu, rushes to greet us. Her misaligned glasses and ruffling hair cast suspicion on her previous statement. But whether she was asleep or not isn't the first question that leaps to my mind. You work here now? What happened to the library? What? Lily Hazao? Welcome to the Shanghai. Yuko, still waking up, jerks into a violent bow, dislodging her glasses in the process. My glasses. As I pick up her spectacles off the floor, Lily offers an explanation. Yuko works here part-time as well as at the library. It's one of the reasons we like to come here. Yuko takes her glasses from my hand, shakily putting them back on. Yes, that's right, thanks. Shall I show you to your table? There's no one else here, so you can choose your table and order whatever you like, but there may be a delay as I will have to make it myself. It's alright, Yuko. Just a pot of black tea and a plate of sandwiches will be fine. Right, I'll get right onto that. Yuko hurries off to the back of the cafe, leaving us standing at the entrance. She pushes the swinging half doors open before realizing that she hasn't seated us. I'm sorry. Please sit wherever you'd like. I'll be right back. Following her advice, I lead Lily to the nearest booth as Hanako follows. As I begin to sit next to Lily, I realize how appropriate this place is for Hanako. The high-back booths totally separate you from the rest of the dorm, and it doesn't look like it gets all that many customers. All the furnishings, from the cushions and on the benches to the condiment holders, look dated but aren't overly worn. I wonder if Lily deliberately selects places like this to take Hanako. She seems like the type that would go to lengths to cater to Hanako's unique predicament. So, Hizao, I didn't know you played chess. Well, not very well, but I do know how to play. I suppose the obvious question would be, who won? Lily's innocent smile makes me hesitate. I don't really want to look like I'm lording my victory over Hanako. Hizao did. Yes, but not by much. Damn, saying that out loud makes me feel like I've done something terrible. Well done, Hizao. You've accomplished something I've only ever failed at. Thanks. I haven't played in ages, so it felt pretty good to play again. Yes, it did. Hanako fidgets with her hair a little and looks away as she replies, but a small smile emerges. It's a little more extreme of a reaction than I expected, but it's still kind of cute in that Hanako way. It throws me a little off guard, and only Yuko's cataclysmic re-entry shocks me back into the conversation. Are you alright back there? Are you alright there, Yuko? Do you need a hand? I'm fine. I have to do this properly. It's my job. Concentration plays across her face while she stares at the tray in her hands as if simply looking at its contents will hold them in place. Sadly, this doesn't prove all that effective. The cups and saucers slowly dance around, occasionally clattering as they collide with one another. Taking great care, Yuko sets the tray down on the table with only the subtleness of crashes. There, see? Done. Well done. Thank you, Yuko. Yuko's head rockets downwards in her distinctive bow before answering. You're very welcome. Would you like to join us? There's something else I'd like to discuss about that recent order, if I may. That's right, Lily and Yuko were discussing a pile of books when I first met Hanako. Something about Lily helping with the Braille. Ah yes, we didn't get the chance to go through them, did we? Yuko hastily sits down next to Hanako. Apparently her dedication to this job only goes as far as her concentrations, and once it is broken, she suddenly loses it. I'll be in the library tomorrow afternoon if you'd like to try again. That sounds perfect. I'll meet you there after class. Lily? Oh dear, that's right. Tomorrow's Monday. How could I have forgotten? I'm starting to feel a little left out of the loop here. Then again, that's to be expected. I have been here for barely a week, so it's impossible to know everyone's schedule. Well, perhaps we could come to some other arrangement. Yuko, will you be in the library later in the week? Maybe, but this is already overdue. And there are some things I need. This might be a problem. Lily ponders for a second before discovering the answer. I wonder, might we be able to enlist the help of another if need be? To do what? You lost me quite some time ago. Being volunteered for something without even having the slightest idea what is going on isn't really my thing. And here I thought I had finally escaped the clutches of the student council and their repeated attempts to recruit me. Oh, of course, the other day I was helping Yuko sort the new Braille books in the library. But Hanako and I usually go shopping on Monday afternoons. It's quieter on that day than on weekends. Last week we couldn't go because I was busy with the festival. I managed to slip away later in the week, but Hanako couldn't make it. Well, since I can't read Braille, I'm assuming you want me to go shopping with Hanako. Correct. You were a great help to me the other day. I think I can handle that. Hanako, what do you think? If you wouldn't mind. Of course not. I'm still not familiar with all the stores in the area, so it sounds like a good idea. Okay. Now that we have that arranged, shall we have some tea? It's now that I realize our tea has been sitting idly by all this time, getting no hotter. Oh, it's my fault. Let me pour that for you. Yuko reaches out with shaking hands, but I intercept her. She looks in no state to be handling hot liquids. It's alright, I've got it. Since you've already made the tea and sandwiches, you fulfilled your waitress duties, right? I guess. Yuko relaxes a little, but still watches eagerly as I share out the assortment. As I'm about to bite into the sandwich, a low, loud rumble can be heard along with a flash of light outside. I take it the show has started. Only looking outside, I realize the dusk has come and gone, leaving us in the peak of twilight. Sparking tracers arc upwards, ready to explode into the floral shapes of fireworks. Let's go watch. Oh, sorry, Lily. Please don't miss the show on my account. From what I've heard, this isn't a bad location to watch them from. Oh, yes, we got a CG thumbnail. With the exception of Lily, we rushed to the window of the small tea house to watch the show. The strobe of colored lights play across Hanako and Yuko's smiling faces, and for a second I forget to look out the window. In this totally new world, there are a few things that don't change. I think that's why the school makes such a fuss over this festival, is a chance to show the similarities between everyone. The show is over all too quickly. Fireworks are expensive, even for the most well-funded schools. Before we return to our seat and sandwiches, Hanako turns to me. Thank you for today. And tomorrow. That's okay, I don't think I could have faced those crowds either. On days like this, it's more relaxing to spend some time away from everyone, don't you think? Yeah. Anyway, we've been delaying this tea for far too long now. Let's get back. Sure. We return to the booth and our light meal. Well, that sounded impressive, bigger than last year's at least. Yeah, it was great. I've never seen them put on such a show. It gets better every year. I'm afraid, however, that during that time the tea has gotten cold. Oh no, let me make some more. This is my fault. Calm down, Yuko. It's nobody's fault. I take a sip from my cup just to prove the point. This tea isn't too bad cool anyway. It's like an iced tea. Really? Yes, really. If you add a bit of sugar, it's kind of nice. Are you sure? I'm positive. Now, why don't you go sit down and we'll finish this together? Okay. Yuko doesn't seem convinced, but she sits down regardless. She carefully measures out about 5 teaspoons of sugar and adds them to her tea. I said a bit of sugar. I know, but I like my tea sweet anyway. Curiously, I peer into her cup. As expected, hardly any of the sugar dissolves in the cold liquid. She stirs it twice before upturning the cup and drinking the contents, sugar and all, in a single mouthful. You're right, that's not bad at all. Good. I look back to Lily and Hanako, both of whom have finished their meal, as I witnessed Yuko's personality in action. Not wanting to hold anyone up, I use her tactic and finish the remainder of my tea in a single swill. Well then, it seems you're all finished. Shall we head back now, or do we want seconds? Yuko's expression shows this is quite clearly not a good idea. I think it would be best if we got back soon. We do have to get back before curfew, after all. Oh, that is a good point. I'll meet you tomorrow, Yuka. I'll be looking forward to it, Lily. Goodbye, everyone. We make our way out of the small tea house and into the dark of the night. Lily and Hanako once again take point, but under the cover of darkness, Hanako seems slightly less stressed than she did on the trip here. We move against the occasional group of people emptying the school ground, but Hanako seems to lead us along with a few minor roads, avoiding the bulk of the crowd. Outside the dorms, the school seems strangely quiet when compared to the noise of the day. Well then, thank you for both for today. I think I learned a lot. You're most welcome, but I'm afraid that I really must be going. Today's been a long day. Oh, that's right. Lily spent all of today on her feet, and I can imagine that walking outside the school would be pretty tiring for her. I feel a pang of guilt as I remember that I was probably the only one in the school that got up around 10 this morning. Sure thing. Well, I'll see you both tomorrow. Good night. Good night, Hazao. Night. The girls returned to their dorm, and I to mine. Actually, now that I consider it, today tired me out as well. Now here's a cutscene. Act 2, hide and seek. I like that. I like that little animation one. That was a good one. Alrighty. Well, anyway, that's all for this time. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.